Welcome. You've splash landed into this Prosecco-laden podcast, straight into the woo-woo pool with the crew of Ohm-g. We're just a simple group of tragically imperfect and highly empathic BFFs, exploring a wide range of atypical topics with humor, grace, and curiosity. This is Ohm-g. Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. We are so excited to introduce you to the newest member of the Woo Crew today. We're all still coming down to earth after our existential, transcendent, stellar recent episode with Joanna the Healer. Please check it out. Hello, I'm Camille.
Hey there, it's Brenda, Sue,
and Chandra.
Well, hey y'all, what are y'all doing? It's Aaron.
Hello, it's Lynn. It's nice to meet you all.
You're here live with the crew of
Ohm-g, the podcast. Welcome back, y'all.
Yes, welcome back. And we are so excited to have a new member of our podcast. I'd like to introduce you all to Miss Lynn Green.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you all for having me.
So, Lynn, I think you are one of our first listeners, right? Like you've been with us since the beginning, I believe.
Not long after the beginning.
Okay, cool. So I want to tell a little story. It's story time, y'all. Get your cup of tea or something and come sit around the kindergarten table. I'm going to tell the story of how Lynn and I met. I was at a cacao ceremony and I heard somebody say, Brenda Sue. And I was like, nobody calls me Brenda Sue. And I turned around and there was Lynn. I didn't know Lynn. I was like, hey.
She actually said, do I know you?
Yeah.
Oh, in the funniest of ways.
Yeah. And then she explained that she listened to the podcast. And I was like, I felt like I had known her forever. And so she's just been kind of becoming more and more part of our group with night walks out into the forest and spirit circles and brunch and sleepovers and all kinds of fun stuff.
Bigfoot sightings.
Yeah, Bigfoot sightings. Oh, yeah, we got stories to tell. That's upcoming episode.
You know what they say about big feet?
They do say that, Aaron.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. And that was the inception of our meeting and her being here on the podcast. And I'm just so happy to have her here because I feel like, you know, she's been part of the group like forever. I feel like we've all been friends forever. Mm-hmm. And I know that's weird, but I'm sure we have known each other. I actually do know that we have known each other many times, many lifetimes, many timelines, many all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll kick off the first question for you, Ms. Lynn. What is your favorite woo thing to do?
Just one?
Well, I mean, that's usually your favorite.
I think they're all my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite woo thing, I guess dipping into the Akashic records is my favorite.
Well, you do it so well.
Mm-hmm. You really do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is an amazing tool to have in your tool belt for doing healing work and whatever you want to call it, psychic work, healing work, intuitive work. That's a really cool thing.
It is. And all of us here have had a reading with you, right, Lynn?
Mm-hmm.
She's dipped into our records and fingered through the files, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it was otherworldly. Like mine was virtual, but it was spot on, like incredible.
I think everybody's was virtual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was incredible.
Well, I think we've said this in previous episodes, like my experience with you was the first time I'd had a reading of any kind, mediumship, Akashic records of any kind, where I came away with like actionable steps, not just like really vague, you know, like divine timing and, you know, all that. It was like things that I could work on and direction. And it was the first time I'd ever had that experience.
It's funny that I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Or not most of it.
Yeah, that's how it works, though, whenever you're in that trance state or accessing other dimensional information. It feels like a lot of times you don't remember most of it.
Yeah.
For your safety and protection, I'm sure.
I'm sure. I wouldn't want to carry all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess I have a question too, kind of related to the akash. So,
ask.
Honey. So, Lin-Manuel Miranda, I know that this is one of your favorite quote unquote woo things, is dipping into the Akashic records and helping people step into their own power and realize some of the shadow shit that they might need to work through, or, what have you. So, what sort of led you to that, like that field or that line of woo work, if you will? Did you have an Akashic record reading yourself, or did you read an article about it or hear about it on a podcast or something? Or what was your introduction to the Akashic records?
So I've heard about the Akashic records over the years, but I've never had a reading done. And you all interviewed Melissa Sparrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
About the Akashic records. And I just had to have one done. And so I got up with her and had a reading, and I thought, oh my God, I need to learn how to do that, because it explained my life to me so well with everything that she told me. And so I was doing healing work and all that. And I really, I really get into like helping people. Mm-hmm. And the way I look at that is I've been helped so much by other people, like having the work done for myself, that I kind of want to return that. So anyway, after I had the reading with Melissa, I thought, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And she offered the class, and I took it and came out being able to read the records.
Wow. So did you find out about Melissa from this podcast episode?
I did.
Okay. First of all, clutch your pearls, ladies and gentlemen, and people at home, because that just gave me chills when she said that, because it's like y'all connected from the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You've found out about Melissa. Melissa's wonderful. One of our dream guests, Joanna the Healer. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and do it. It's one of our recent ones. Like, part of why we started this podcast is for community. And this just feels like I'm in a little powwow, like around a campfire right now. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And you truly, when you did my reading, my socks were blown completely off. And y'all know I usually wear Birkenstock. So, but you really, it seems like you've been doing it your whole life. Like, it makes sense that you're an Akashic record reader.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
It's funny when I go in, it's like, this is not the first time I've been in here. It was not. Yeah. I've been doing it for a few lifetimes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've been so impressed is the only word I can use. Mm-hmm. Just exactly how synchronistic this whole situation has become. Just you entering our lives, us entering your lives, the things that have happened since that introduction. It's I've been sitting here trying to list the things, and it's too long. And one thing will lead me back to another thing, and it's really amazing when you start to think about it, just how all the parts and pieces of it has had to magically fit into alignment for us to get from where we started to here.
Shout out Grandma Ruby.
That's exactly what I was going to say, girl.
G-Ma, you're welcome for the lead in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's funny to me. I was just talking to someone about this a few days ago about the breadcrumb. It's what I call the breadcrumb theory. It's like Hansel and Gretel, like following the trail. And that seems like the way it was that I met everybody. It was just like this. I can just look back at it now and just see, oh, that happened, and that happened because that happened, and it made that happen, and it was constant. But, my Grandma Ruby actually came in and said, y'all were related in a past life. And so, me and Brenda.
Yeah, I love that. Several times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she actually comes with me a lot down here. So, yeah, a lot of breadcrumbs.
I love Grandma Ruby.
Yeah, a lot of synchronicities that are really funny.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of funny.
Y'all are going to get to know her with every passing episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's a firecracker. She's been to several of our spirit circles.
She is. She is a force to be reckoned with. Mm-hmm. And so I always say good luck with that. Y'all have to deal with it.
Well, so just to give you a clue into Grandma Ruby's personality, I think it was the last spirit circle that we did, everybody had been getting the message of gold. Like we had all seen some kind of gold color or had gotten the word gold in a message. Somehow most everybody in the room had gotten the message of gold. And Grandma Ruby shows up in a gold lame top, like from the 80s, just like disco Ruby. It was fun. It was hilarious.
Yeah. After the first time that I met Lynn, had a dream that night or the next night or something, and I saw ruby red slippers is what she came to me in the dream, and she showed me something else. I'm trying to remember what it was. It might have been the gold. It was that bright yellow because it was the second time we were in the cacao ceremony, I think, because it was the big group. Mm-hmm. And you were seeing yellow, like bright yellow gold color the whole time. So that night I had a dream and I saw ruby red slippers and all I could see was that bright yellow color. And I knew it was her. And she was just like, yeah, I'm here, y'all. I brought y'all together. Look at what I did.
Admission granted.
Yeah, she did.
So, Lynn, we've talked about the Akashic Records. Tell us a little bit about your Reiki experience and about any other woo modalities that you enjoy.
Okay, so I started studying Reiki in 2015, and I reached the master teacher level a couple years ago. So I not only do sessions, but I teach as well. I actually like doing Reiki a lot. I get a lot of messages when I get people on the table. I don't necessarily go into their records, but when I'm doing the work on them, like I just let it flow and I try to keep notes for people. And it's usually pretty entertaining at the end to watch the things I tell them and how they react. And it seems to help people a lot. So I really like doing that. I also like to work with crystals, as you all know.
The cottage is a testament to that. Go ahead.
Everybody starts laughing. I have crystals all over the place. And I really I like the energy of them. I also like to do crystal work and carry them in my pockets and other areas of my body.
The unmentionables.
Whole nother episode right there.
Yeah. Twins. usually have stuff full, but so y'all get me sidetracked, making me laugh. And what else? What else would you like to know?
Well, if I wanted a session with you, how would I go about finding you?
Oh, okay. I have an Instagram, and it is Enchanted Lynn, ENCHANTEDLYNN. And so you can find me there. I'm also on Facebook, and it's J Lynn Green, just a plain J. And you can also email me, enchantedlynn@yahoo.com. And website is a work in progress.
Well, talking about synchronicities, I think I told Brenda probably maybe 2 years ago now or so that I really wanted to learn Reiki and like take my level 1 class. And I was like, do you know anyone that teaches or whatever? And so she knew of someone, but then it kind of fell through. And I've looked at people online, but it just intuitively, I felt like it wasn't a good match. And then you came into this group and you're like, yeah, I'm a teacher. And I'm like, well, hold up. And so 2 weeks from today, I'm going to take my level 1 with Lynn. I'm so excited. So we'll report back on a future episode about that experience.
I'm excited about that too.
But I'm thrilled.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging in there with us on that quick break. And we are back with the illustrious Lynn Green, who is now joining us on the podcast.
Took a while, though.
And that is actually my question.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So when we approached you about, would you like to actually join us on the podcast? You've done several like guest episodes because we're just so intertwined at this point. But what would you say was like the moment that you were like, okay, yes, this is my next step. This is what I need to do at this point?
It wasn't until y'all asked me. I literally, it never crossed my mind that I would do a podcast. Not ever. It wasn't even in my scope. If you had asked me 2 days before that, I would have been like, no, I'm not doing a podcast. So it wasn't until the night y'all asked me that I was like, and I just knew immediately that it was something I would want to do. I also had to work through a whole lot of fear to be able to do it. The speaking and kind of asking myself, what do I have to offer? And
what don't you have to offer?
We'll find that out. We'll find that out together.
I don't know that I believe you, girl.
That's very true. Like, I have a fear of speaking.
Well, that it had never crossed your mind.
No, it had never crossed my mind.
Because, like, I've had conversations with you. Mm-hmm. We've mentioned it before. Like,
yep.
Pretty much.
We all had separate conversations about, like,
Have we ever thought of, like, what do you think?
We got a lot of witches in the kitchen as it is, but like Lynn feels like the perfect fit. And like she's already one of us. Like it just seems like she has so much to offer and that everything is getting so intertwined. Like as a friend group with our intuitive development stuff, spirit circles, like it just makes sense to ask her, like, should we? And we all were like in agreement of like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, and it was like, it didn't feel like there was a hole to be filled, but it was like when she was here doing guest things, it was like the hole had been filled, even though there didn't feel like there was a hole there.
Yes. And to speak just really quickly to your sort of like fear or like it questioning about like, you know, being on the radio, on the air. I have a friend that listens to the podcast, and the first guest episode that you did, she asked me, she was like, who is Lynn? I just love her voice. Like there's something just so soothing and welcoming about it. So I think
her accent.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But you know what's fun? No, I really didn't have a clue. Like it never, ever crossed my mind. And I think it was Camille. We had lunch one day and I was telling her, like, after y'all had asked me, like, I was like, man, I can't believe I didn't see that coming. But my guides, like I was sitting in meditation in there. And so what they showed me about that was when I was a kid, I had 2 older brothers, and we like ransacked our parents' house at Christmas looking for our Christmas presents because we were bad like that. And we found them all. And so when Christmas morning came around, there was nothing really to look forward to because we knew, you know, everything we were getting.
There was no surprise.
There was no surprise. And so Spirit was like, surprise? And I was like, you betcha. Like, I was totally surprised by it. And so they were just like, enjoy the surprise.
Oh,
so,
well, as you were saying that, I kind of felt like if you had had an inkling before, you would have let the noise in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
It would have potentially talk you out of it before you even were presented with the question.
Yeah.
And to our credit, we did ask her after she'd had a few drinks at a party. So it's not like she could back out after that, you know. Good play, guys.
Yeah, we got her good and sloshed, so she couldn't say no.
Another synchronicity. She's a Prosecco gal, just like all of us.
And she also likes to make snacks, which we love. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
A little bit of an overachiever in that area.
Right.
Synchronicities.
Well, we were going to have another episode with you where we're going to talk just about the Akashic records so that people can understand what they are, because a lot of people don't know what the Akashic records are. So maybe you could explain what they are for people who have not been exposed to it before.
Okay, so as my headset is falling off, so the Akashic records are literally records of everything past, present, and future of your soul's journey. And so people who read the Akashic records, like I personally go into this big library castle looking place, but some people go under a tree and some people like see a mountain. So I just go in and ask for your records, and like they just start telling me things that, like, if you have something past that you brought through with you that maybe like is holding you back and you don't quite know where it's coming from, they'll show me stuff like that. A lot of times family members will come through, your guides will come through, just anything that will be for your greatest good and highest outcome will come through when I do a reading.
So I have a question. I think that I dip into the Akashic records sometimes whenever I'm working with a client on the table, but I'm not like, I know that you've learned how to go through it and ask to access them, and you have a routine to go into somebody's records. But like I had a client, she's come a couple of times, and I saw a past life for her that's affecting her in this lifetime, where she had been in a relationship with someone and they weren't married, but it was a long time ago. He left her. She was pregnant. She had the baby alone, hemorrhaged and died. And so her messaging was that pleasure led to death. And so she has a lot of issues around abandonment and all of those kinds of things. And she told me whenever I saw her this last time that she had all these phobias. And she told me about her phobias. And one of them was having her blood drawn. She's terrified of having that. And she would like have a panic attack and almost pass out when she would have that done. So she's worked like a therapist to help work through that stuff. So where was I going with that? Even though I'm not trying to access the records, is it possible to access them to get that information for what people need now? I know it's probably easier to do it the way that you do it, and maybe it's clearer. But did you ever get akashic information before you started going through your process of accessing them the proper way?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think I know that you access them too. It's just I'm trying to think of a good way to pull that together. But yeah, you access that kind of stuff like that that's really deep and healing. It comes from the akash. And so I absolutely think that you can access them without doing it the way I do it. I just have learned to do it where it's easier for me to go in to do it.
Yeah, I would think it would be easier if you have like a set way that you go and do it every time instead of it just like popping up.
Yeah, it's just like you're getting a message. You're not really in the records, but you're getting a message from the records, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have been into a place that I felt like was the Akashic Hall.
I'm sure.
And it was, the way that I saw it was like the old libraries in England, that are just stories and stories high.
That's the way I see it.
And there's books everywhere. And that the guide would go and open the book and they would show me a page of the book, and it might be a picture, or I might see like a whole like video in my head.
Yeah, that's exactly the way what I see when I go into the records.
That was going to be a question that I ask, is that because you said they start telling you things. Mm-hmm. So do you ever see like an actual book or an actual like recording, like a paper record or anything like that?
Yeah, they normally bring a book, and I sit down at a table when I go in, and there are guides and angels and ancestors and galactic family, whoever comes in. They're sitting around the table. Some of them are standing, and they open the book for me. And sometimes I'll see an image in the book. Sometimes, like Brenda said, like I'll see a video start playing in my head, or it's like it's off the page. And sometimes I can just hear them. Mm-hmm. So they just come through in whatever way they choose to, I guess.
However they communicate the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that validation, because I years ago took like just a little class of like accessing the Akashic records. And I always felt like I was making it up. I never trusted myself enough to be like, okay, this is real. But the way I see it is, it's also like an old brick rock castle. Mm-hmm. But when I entered, it's like a cathedral. Mm-hmm. And there's all these like stained glass windows above it. And then there's like little, almost like wooden alcoves, like squares with an opening that you walk in. And there's all these books inside the alcove on the shelves. And there's a big table in the middle. And they always bring the book and lay it on the table. Yeah. I don't ever really see anything in the book, but it's like stuff starts coming to mind or whatever. Once, it sounds so hokey, once, quote unquote, the book is open.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's great validation that even though I haven't had a lot of experience or tried very often, that what I did experience was, was close to what you're saying.
Chandra, I just had a thought.
Oh, Lord.
Spirit is coming in with a message for you.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, Spirit.
They feel like this would be a really good way for you to develop your intuition more. Like, because you would have a set thing that you do each time that would help you to access that information instead of just sitting there and waiting for it, so to speak. You're actually doing something proactively to call it in a different way. Mm-hmm. So I really feel like that could be something that would help you a lot. And also, let me say, we were over at Chandra's yesterday doing woo-woo wisdom, and she was like, I'm so not connected with my intuition and all this stuff. And
I was going through one of those periods where I just felt like it was dry spell and I was just not connected at all.
Okay, so let me finish my story, Chandra.
Just like the moon, we all have phases, guys.
So one of the people who are asking a question, she comes on all the time. I'm not sure who she is, to be honest with you, but her name on Instagram is Ocean Happy.
Oh, that's cute.
And so Chandra wrote the name down, and she wrote Nicole, and I was like, who's Nicole? I was like, girl, that ain't her name. It's Ocean Happy. And then the girl types in, my name is Nicole. And Chandra said when she looked at Ocean Happy, she saw Nicole. And I was like, are you psychic?
Yeah.
Don't even pretend like you're not.
I mean, for real, I saw on Instagram, because we were flying blind yesterday. Like, I was doing Facebook over here. We didn't have a moderator. She was doing I was doing Facebook over here. She was doing Instagram on the other side. And I just was able to see the Instagram screen. And I saw something pop up that was like a longer, something more than like, hey guys, or whatever. So I thought that might be a question. So she was doing a reading. She was actually like talking about her cards. So I looked at the screen to see who it was. And I swear I saw Nicole. I saw the word Nicole. And so I wrote it down, and I wrote down the question.
Teresa Caputo, more like Teresa Caput. Who? Okay, Chandra. And I tell you, when you were talking about that, shout out again to Joanna the Healer. Live, laugh, and love for you, girl. But there was a recent video that she put up on YouTube where one of the piles felt like a personal reading. Like she was talking to Aaron Siebold motherfucking Behringer, like to me. Okay. And so I was sitting there and I was just like, oh my God, Joanna. Like I'm crying on a Tuesday, at 4 p.m. But the part of what she was saying was, because I do like channeled poetry sometimes, whatever, right? And so like someone, I've done it all with you, but you like will send me 3 things. It could be something that inspires you, whatever, a question. And so I'll like tune into spirit and have a little like step-by-step process. Shout out ADHD friendly, right? A step-by-step process to like tune in and get that information and then translate it, I guess. Like I channel it, but then I translate it and with my own little spin on it to like make it make sense to the person. And so that's literally what she described doing. She's like, I hear that you're a poet. And she said translator. And that's exactly what I just heard when you were talking, is that you're a translator because you like.
I received that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Chandra, translations through Chandra. Don't get lost in translation, baby.
Baby.
All right. Well, this has been a fantastic episode. And I feel like we could talk about how the development again on another episode, because I feel like all of us have developed so much in this past, not even year, like this past 6 months. There's been a lot of intuitive development in the group. And I'm just so excited Lynn's here. I don't even know what else to say, except I'm excited that she's here. And I can't wait to see how we all grow together in the future and what future episodes are going to come out, because I think it's just going to be great because there's just such good synergy here in the group. So I love you and I'm glad that you're here.
Oh, thank you so much, Brenda. You're my soul sister.
I know,
Me
girl.
too, girl.
Yes,
I love
me
all
too.
y'all.
Yes, we love you.
I totally second that, because I feel like it's a vibration thing. I feel like each kind of like the more we all get in alignment with one another, it's like our vibration just keeps rising and almost like adding, I don't know how to explain it, but this is how it feels to me. It's almost like adding new things to the vibration.
Adding layers.
Yeah. Flavor.
Girl.
Flavor Flav.
Yes.
Prosecco flavored vibration.
That's girl, talk about a sponsorship. Sounds like a fun. And the next one, we're going to dive more deeply into Akashic Records, right, with Lynn. So if you enjoyed this episode, you know where to find us, y'all, at ohmgpodcast.com, on the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, wherever. Get your library cards ready, honey, because we're going to get up in that Akashic record next time.
Absolutely. And if you would like to book a reading with Lynn in the Akashic Records, you can find her at Enchanted Lynn on Instagram or at enchantedlynn@yahoo.com if you would like to email.
Mm-hmm.
And we highly recommend that you do that.
Oh, you won't regret it, honey.
You will not.
You will not regret it.
And I also, we can do virtual. I do virtual. I think we said that earlier, but I do in person or virtual, either one.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we will see you in the next episode.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Thank you for joining us today. Please follow and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review. It's so easy to do and such a huge help for us. We appreciate your interactions so much. Want to join us at our table? Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and join our Facebook community. If you've enjoyed this content and wish to support us, take a look at our Patreon page. All information and links will be in our podcast description. Catch you next time.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.